Did you know that in 2026, you could have a phone with a 200 megapixel camera, a high-end processor, and ultra-fast charging for less than $400? Yeah, you heard that right. While brands are trying to sell you phones for $1,000 or more, there's a parallel world where you can get 90% of those features for less than half the price. Right. And in the description, I'm leaving you the best prices so you can go straight to buying yours. Look, let's be honest, we all want the latest iPhone, the Galaxy S25 Ultra, or any other phone that costs as much as a month's rent. But the truth is, most of us don't need to spend that kind of crazy money to have an excellent phone. So what makes a mid-range phone really good in 2026? Well, for me, there are 5 fundamental pillars. First, the screen. We can't settle for 60Hz LCD screens anymore. We need AMOLED. We need at least 120 Hz, and we need enough brightness to see the phone under the sun. Second, performance. It doesn't have to be the most powerful processor on the market, but it does need to handle your everyday apps, social media, photos, videos, and yes, even some games without turning into a heater. Third, the cameras. This is where a lot of brands cheat by giving you 108 or even 200 megapixel sensors, but then the photos turn out terrible. What matters isn't the number of megapixels, but the quality of the sensor and the image processing. Fourth, the battery. A phone that can't last you the whole day just isn't worth it in 2026. And if it also has fast charging so it can recover in under an hour, even better. And fifth, software updates. There's no point in buying a cheap phone that becomes obsolete in 2 years. The best brands are now offering up to 7 years of updates, even for mid-range models. So let's kick things off strong with the Google Pixel 9a. Look, if there's one brand that knows how to work magic with cameras without needing huge sensors, it's Google. And this year, the Pixel 9 gives you pretty much everything you get in Google's top-of-the-line devices, but at a price that won't make you cry. They got rid of that iconic and distinctive camera bar from the Pixel and now made it more compact, more integrated into the body of the phone. Now, the screen. It's OLED, which is already amazing for watching content with vibrant colors and deep blacks that look spectacular. Here's something interesting. The Pixel 9 uses the same processor as the Pixel 10, Google's Tensor G4. This means you get access to pretty much all the artificial intelligence features that Google is putting into its expensive phones. Google's cameras have always been special, and this year is no exception. It can take amazing photos pretty much any time of day. During the day, photos come out with natural colors, good detail, and excellent dynamic range. But where Google really blows your mind is with night photos. The Pixel 9a's battery is excellent. It'll last you all day without any problems, even with heavy use. And Google guarantees you 7 years of operating system and security updates. This means that if you buy the Pixel 9 in 2026, you'll get updates until 2033. Now let's move on to OnePlus, a brand that used to be a geek favorite and is now making some killer mid-range phones. Today, I'm going to talk to you about two, the Nord 5 and the Nord CE5. Let's start with the Nord 5. This phone is huge, with a 6.83-inch screen. The screen is AMOLED, bright, smooth at 120 Hz, and it even responds when your fingers are wet. The software is Oxygen OS, which in my opinion is one of the best on the Android market. Now the problem, this phone gets hot when you play games for a long time. The battery capacity is dropped compared to the Nord 4, but it still lasts you all day without any trouble. The cameras are decent. They're not the best on this list, but they take good photos in most situations. The selfie camera has 50 megapixels, which is great if you like detailed selfies. Now, the Nord CE5. This one is smaller, cheaper, and in some ways better. It's a bit more compact. It doesn't have Plus Qi, but it does have something a lot of us value, a micro SD card slot. Yes, you can expand the storage. The screen is also AMOLED, but it's not as bright as the one on the Nord 5. The speakers are mono, not stereo, and you can definitely tell. If you watch a lot of videos, it's gonna bother you. Performance is a bit lower than the Nord 5, but the big advantage is that it does not get as hot when gaming. The battery's excellent. It easily lasts you all day and part of the next. Cameras, decent for everyday use, although sometimes the processing goes overboard and the photos come out very saturated. Now let's move on to Samsung, the brand that sells the most phones in the world, and that's no coincidence. The Galaxy A56 is proof that you do not need to spend $1,000 to have a quality Samsung phone. The A56 looks and feels premium, with a water-resistant design. The screen is a 6.7-inch Super AMOLED, 120Hz, and it's a little brighter than the previous generation. The storage is doubled compared to the previous model. The Exynos 1580 processor is competent for everyday use, but with really demanding games, you'll notice it lags a bit. The A56 has 3 rear cameras, a main 50-megapixel camera with stabilization, an ultra-wide and a macro, plus a 12-megapixel front camera. It has a 5,000 milliamp battery with 45-watt charging. It lasts more than a day and charges in just over an hour. And now the most important thing, Samsung extended updates for the A56 until 2032, a full 7 years of support. We also can't forget about Xiaomi, the Chinese brand that's been proven for years that you can get high-end specs for much less money. And this year, they have 2 options that are practically impossible to ignore. Let's start with the Redmi Note 14 Pro Plus 5G. This phone has something that none of the others on this list have, a main camera with 200 megapixels and optical stabilization. The screen is a curved AMOLED, 6.67 inches, 1.5K resolution, 120 Hz, and a peak brightness of 3000 nits. The processor is the Snapdragon 7S Gen 3, which is solid for everyday use and moderate gaming. And here comes what I like the most, 120-watt charging, the fastest on this entire list, from 0 to 100 in less than 30 minutes. Plus, it has IP68 certification, making it water and dust resistant, which makes it one of the toughest mid-range phones on the market. Now, the Poco X7 Pro. If the Redmi is the king of cameras, the Poco X7 Pro is the king of power. It comes with the MediaTek Dimensity 8400 processor, which is basically flagship-level performance. Plus, it has a dedicated cooling system so it doesn't get too hot. The screen is a 6.67-inch AMOLED, 1.5K, 120 Hz, compatible with HDR10 Plus and Dolby Vision. The battery's 6,000 milliamp hours. It lasts you more than a full day, even with heavy use. No worries. The cameras have a main 50-megapixel sensor with stabilization, an 8-megapixel ultra-wide, and a 20-megapixel front camera. But hey, if none of these have convinced you yet because you're looking for something different with its own personality, or you just want a battery that lasts until the end of the world, I recommend some brands that aren't the most famous, but this year they're really making waves. Nothing, Honor, and Motorola have options that deserve your attention. Nothing Phone 3A and 3A Pro, the Honor Magic 8 Lite, Motorola Edge 60 Fusion. Now you know all the contenders. Now comes the million-dollar question. Which one should you buy? Remember, I'll leave the link for each one down below in the comments. If you love taking photos and videos, you have 2 clear options. Google Pixel 9a, Redmi Note 14 Pro Plus. If you play a lot of games and want maximum performance, Poco X7 Pro. And if you have a bit more budget and want to take it up a notch, the OnePlus 15R. For those looking for extreme battery life, that's easy, Honor Magic 8 Lite. For those looking for the best balance, without a doubt, Samsung Galaxy A56. You want personality and a unique design, Nothing Phone 3A or Motorola Edge 60 Fusion. The best value for money? Redmi Note 14 Pro Plus. And that's it.